Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to work on the user interface here that will contain the everything that the user will be able to that the user will use in order to control this dashboard. So here in the index, first I'm going to start by adding here a comment, and then this comment would say interface, because this is going to represent the interface. For the user interface, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to start by using section. I'm going to say section, and I'm going to give this section a ID. And this ID is just going to say interface. And then for this section, first I'm going to say dev. I'm going to give it a dev. And this dev would have a class called navigation. And inside that navigation, I'm going to create another dev. And for this div, I'm going to give it also another class, and that class is just going to be in1, and then I'm going to keep this empty for now. And inside that in1, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to display a search bar. I'm going to say here dev, and then I'm going to give this dev a class called search. And inside that dev, we want I, and this I is going to be a font awesome class that's called far fa search. Let me save and let me refresh. As you can see, we have this icon. Now we need to display the bar itself. So to display the bar itself, we need below this, we need to display below this dev, we need to display a form. Actually, below this I, we need to display here a form. So I'm going to say here form, and then inside that form, I'm going to display input. I'm going to say input, and for this input, I'm going to give it a type. The type is text, and a placeholder. I'm going to say placeholder search. Let me save and let me show you this in the browser. So as you can see, we have this now. We now have this search bar, and this is for the search, and this is for this area. And below this dev, what we want to do is that we want to display the profile image. So I'm going to display the profile image of the admin. So below this dev here I'm going to add a comment. I'm going to say search, and then here I'm going to say profile. So for the profile, let me, by the way, let me remove the space, and here let me add some space here. So for this dev, for this profile, we want to add a dev. I'm going to say dev, and I'm going to give it class profile. And inside that profile, I'm going to add I, which is going to be a font awesome icon. I'm going to say class far fa hyphen bill, and below it I'm going to display the image. I'm going to say image, and source. So the source is going to be assets / images / 1.jpg. Why 1.jpg? Because remember, the image that we added earlier here is called 1.jpg. This is the profile image that I'm going to be using. So this is why I said 1.jpg. Let me save and let me show you this in the browser. So now in the browser, now as you can see, this is the image. Of course, the image is too large and we need to work on the design, but this is how to add the image. So this is for the image. Next, we want to work on the we want to display a dashboard word below this. So below this, what I'm going to do, below this, let me close this part, and then here I'm going to add a new comment. I'm going to say here title. So the title is just going to say dashboard, and that can be done using H5, for example, H5 or H3. You can say H3 or H5. Let's say H3, and then I'm going to say class I name, and then I'm going to say dashboard. Let me save and let me refresh, and the word should be displayed here. As you can see, dashboard. Below this dashboard, we need to display we need to work on the on an area to display the users, but I'm gonna work on this later. Now let's focus on displaying let's focus on the design of this area. Let's focus on the design of all of these things. So first of all, I'm gonna open up the CSS. We have CSS style.css. Let me open it, and in the style.css, let's start working on the upper area of the user interface. So the first thing that we need to work on is the image. We have the image, and the image actually doesn't look good at all. And we have also the interface. Let's start with the interface. So here, I'm going to add a comment. I'm going to say here, interface. And for the interface, I'm going to start by specifying the interface, the ID. Remember, we have here ID, interface. And for this ID, we need first to specify the width. So the width of this is going to be different, because the width, we want the width to take from here all the way to the end of the page, and that can be done using the calculate function. So I'm going to say here calculate, and then I'm going to say 100% minus 300 px. Why? Because remember, the navigation, this side menu, this menu has a width of 300, and if we subtract 300 from the entire width, we will get the remaining width. Therefore, I'm going to say here, I'm going to say 100% minus 300 to get the remaining width of the page, which is going to be the width of the interface itself. Next, I'm going to say I'm going to add a margin, but let me work on this later because I want to explain important design concepts. So I'm going to leave this for now. The next thing that I'm going to work on is remember here we have navigation. Let's work on the navigation. So for the navigation, I'm going to say interface first, and then dot navigation. So for the navigation, first I'm going to say display flex, flex, and then I'm going to say align items center. I'm going to center the items, align items center, and then for the justify content, the justify content would be space between. We need to add space between the items, and then the background is going to be white, and I'm going to add some padding. I'm going to say padding 15 top and bottom, and 30 right and left. Next, I'm going to say border bottom. So the border bottom is going to be 3 px solid, and then I'm going to use this color 5d 5c61, which is a dark gray color. And then this is for this design. Let me refresh and show you how this is going to look like now. As you can see, what's going to happen is that this dashboard is going to be here, but the search is below. The problem with this is the search is here, as you can see, and the problem is that we need to work on the image. As long as we have the image like this, it's not going to look amazing. So let's continue first, and then check how it's going to look like. So let me work on the image. Let me start working on the image. But before I work on the image, by the way, remember we have input. We have this input. Let's also work on it. So to do this, let me here say search, because I think it has a class called search. Yes, search. So here I'm gonna say interface dot navigation search, navigation dot search. So for the search, I'm gonna give it first a display flex, and justify content flex start, and then align items center, and then padding 10, 14 px, and border, the border would be 1 px solid, and I'm going to be using this color D7D BE5. And finally, I'm gonna give it border radius, border radius. So the border radius is gonna be 4px. Next, I'm gonna work on the input itself. So for the input itself, I'm gonna say interface dot navigation search input. For the input, we just need to remove the border. Let me, before I work on this, let me show you the difference. Now let me refresh, and as you can see, this is the search bar. We need to remove the borders that surround this input, and to do this, we need to say here border none, and outline also none, and font size the font size is going to be 14px. Let me now show you the difference. So the difference is that now there is no border. The border has been removed. So this is for the input. Next, we want to work on the items, on the item inside the search, which is this item, which is this search icon. So for this search icon, I'm going to say here in the style, I'm going to say interface navigation search I, and I'm going to give it only margin. I'm going to say margin right, because we want to increase the margin here. As you can see, it's very close to the search, so we need to add a margin right of, let's say, 12px. Let me refresh now, and there will be more space. As you can see, there's more space here. Now what we need to do is that we need to work on the profile itself. Remember, we have here profile. Let's work on this profile. And to work on this profile, again, we need to say here navigation. We need to say interface first, interface, and dot navigation, and we need to say dot profile, because the class was, remember, the class is profile. So for this profile, the first thing that we need to say is that we need to change the display flex to be flex, and the justify content start, flex start, flex start, and align items center. Next, I want the icon, this icon, the bell. Remember this bell? I want this to be to have a slightly different size and weight, font weight, and also some margins. And to do this, I'm just gonna say interface navigation dot profile I, and I'm gonna give it first a margin right of 20px. and font size 19px, and font weight 400. Let me refresh now, and as you can see, it will be displayed here, because I give it why it's being displayed here, because I said here, I said display flex and then flex start and center. So flex start is going to add it here next to this search. Now it's time to work on the image. The image ruined our design, and it's very important to fix it. To fix it, we need to say interface, navigation, profile, image. And I'm gonna give it first. I'm gonna first give it width. The width is 40px. The height is 40px. The object fit is cover to cover. I want it to cover the container it belongs to, and I'm gonna give it also border radius 50%. Why do we want border radius 50%? Because we want border radius. We want it to be displayed inside a circle. So the reason why we need a border radius is because we want to display the image inside a circle. So I'm going to say 50%, and now if I refresh, as you can see, the image now is going to look amazing. Now the image is just looks amazing. It looks amazing, and it's being displayed here. Next, we need to work on the I name. Remember, we have this I name. So for this I name, we need to say here I name, and for this I name first, I'm going to change the color. I'm going to say color, and the color is just going to be this color 444 A53, which is a dark color. Let me show you the color. So this is how it's going to look like. Let's also add some padding. I'm going to say here padding, and I'm going to say padding 30px top, 30px right, 0 bottom, and 30 left. Then I'm going to add font size. The font size is going to be 24px. Next, I'm going to add font weight. So the font weight is going to be 700. Let me show you now the difference. So now let me refresh, and as you can see, there's here space from the left and from the top, and the text is much larger than before.